What you see right here is a section of the A83 highway in western Scotland. This place is considered a high-risk area for civilian traffic. This is because it's seen at least 9 major landslides since its construction, and a lot of money has been spent to mitigate the risk. However, nothing has proven to be effective. This is not just because the natural phenomena are too powerful that it can't be stopped, it's because they also have to fight animals. Why? We'll get into all the details and more in this video. But before we proceed any further, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for new uploads. You won't regret it. If you're a fan of animal documentaries, you must have noticed how some birds can calmly enter the mouth of a crocodile without getting harmed. Why? Well, this phenomenon was first noticed by the ancient Greek historian Herodotus in 430 BC, when a small bird calmly went into the mouth of a crocodile and remained unharmed. After this event, he deduced and wrote in his work, The Histories, that the reason such an unusual thing happens is that crocodiles live primarily in water, they're constantly covered with leeches, and cannot get rid of them on their own, so they need the assistance of birds that eat parasites. It's a kind of symbiotic relationship between the bird and the crocodile. You get fed by helping me get rid of the leeches, and I'll keep my part of the bargain, allowing you to trespass into my mouth without getting eaten up. Of course, this isn't the only example of a beneficial symbiotic relationship within the wild. In the case of the crocodile and the leeches, you could easily discard it because it doesn't sound much like a big problem. However, when you go deeper and look at the big picture, the issues become more serious. For example, ticks and cattle. This small blood-sucking pest attacks 80% of the world's livestock population, according to a 2018 study. Ticks are small and very sticky, which means no amount of tail wagging or licking by the cattle will get them off. If you look at it, when dozens of ticks attack a cow, it can lead to the cow becoming ill, losing weight, producing less milk, having difficulty reproducing, and death in a more dire situation. Since ticks are nearly impossible for animals to remove on their own due to their smallness and deep burrowing into the skin, what do the cattle do to survive then without human intervention? Well, that's where oxpeckers come into play. Oxpeckers are small birds with colourful beaks who love eating parasites and pests. And another thing they love doing? Sitting on large mammals, both wild and domesticated, for obvious reasons. They know the body of large animals is a fertile ground for all kinds of parasites, including ticks, small insects, gadflies, larvae, and more. Unsurprisingly, they eat them all. And that's not all. Oxpeckers even act as informants for rhinos, alerting them when humans are approaching. You'd wonder why rhinos have to depend on the oxpeckers for such information? Well, here's the reason. Although black rhinos have a good sense of smell and hearing, their vision leaves a lot of room for improvement. It's so bad that you can sneak up on them undetected if you stay downwind of the animal. However, rhinos manage to avoid humans and even flee from poachers thanks to the birds. When danger approaches, oxpeckers hiss and make hissing alarm calls. It's a win-win situation for everyone. Birds get food, and mammals are protected from predators, parasites, and pathogens. Sincere mutual assistance. Or is it? Scientists believe that oxpeckers and big mammals' relationships were textbook examples of a mutualistic relationship for a long time. The perfect symbiotic relationship. However, if you look at it more critically, you'd be quick to notice that birds aid no one but themselves. In fact, they may even be saving rhinos for themselves. After all, a dead rhino killed by parasites is of no value to them. This may be hard to believe until you start seeing the facts. Oxpeckers are quickly becoming bloodthirsty animals. Same with the parasites they're quote-unquote saving the large animals from. Although sometimes they do suck the large animal's blood directly, what they often do is wait for the ticks to drink sufficient blood and pass on the disease before pecking them off. In fact, they're even willing to open old wounds on animals, or according to legend, even create new ones for the sake of a snack. Oxpeckers also consume mammalian earwax and dandruff, which is unusual even for vampires. Another unsettling thing about oxpeckers opening old and new wounds on the large mammals is the amount of excruciating pain the mammals will have to endure from their so-called partners. The good thing about parasites is many of them have an anesthetic-like substance in their saliva, so it's almost a painless process when they gnarl at your flesh and suck your blood out. That's why it can be difficult to detect when a tiny blood-sucking insect is devouring you. Oxpeckers, however, have no anesthetic in their saliva, beak or legs, so everything they do to the animal must be excruciatingly painful. However, the animals that have become targets of the winged parasite don't appear to feel anything at all. They somehow have adapted to it, taking it as a price they have to pay and live with. Talking about pain endurance, the case is different for small animals such as rabbits. The reason they hide their pain is different from the one of the large mammals. For rabbits, it's simply a coping and self-preservation mechanism. They do not show signs of pain in order to avoid becoming easy prey for predators. After all, they select the most vulnerable victims. The predators are not without problems either. In fact, for prey or predator, no sign of weakness is welcome in the animal kingdom. It's always fatal. Any sign of weakness can tarnish the reputation of a predator, making them vulnerable in a world where they are constantly fighting for resources and their position in the pack. Unlike humans, they can't just sit there, call a pity party and cry for a while. Talking about humans, we also can endure a level of pain too, can't we? However, in our case, our biology ended up going one step further and added some involuntary methods of pain relief. Interested in knowing what that is? Yeah, you guessed it. Screaming and cursing. I mean, why do you think you do one of those two things by default immediately when you get hurt? Screaming or cursing can activate our body's natural fight or flight response, which alleviates pain. So the next time you hurt your toes and someone yells out at you for cursing, show them this part of the video and let them know you're just obeying the laws of science. Anyways, returning to the oxpeckers and their food source. As we've mentioned before, birds rarely make new cuts. Instead, they try to expand current ones. In this case, it's always about choosing between the bad and worse for the large mammals. They either give blood or die from a disease, which of course they'd still have to give blood and get the disease anyway if they were to choose the ticks and parasites over the birds. So it makes total sense that they'd let the birds perch on their wounds and suck some blood, despite the pain they may be going through. After all, at least some of the ticks are eaten before they bite, right? Well, many farmers believe this is how it works, and calculations show that one oxpecker can consume approximately 400 ticks per day, or approximately 146,000 ticks per year. Some of the ticks may carry diseases, so it's a win-win situation. There are no lost profits because oxpeckers work for free. They do drink a little blood, but no one is flawless. Furthermore, fighting parasites with current techniques such as using various chemicals is costly and dangerous. While leaving livestock completely unsecured is not an option, global losses from a single tick species are estimated at nearly $19 billion, all from the same species. It's no surprise that farmers are happy to put up with vampire birds to keep their farms alive and thriving. It's all good business until the researchers decided to butt in. A scientist named Paul Weeks published a study in 2000 claiming that oxpeckers do not affect tick populations. How did he get to know? Well, he performed an experiment where he chased the birds off the cows for a very long time to see if the population of ticks would increase. To his surprise, they didn't. In fact, the population of ticks remained the same. To add salt to the injury, it was even discovered that the number of sick livestock did not increase while the number of wounds decreased. So what exactly have the oxpeckers been doing? Well, in a nutshell, it appears the oxpeckers only drink blood and eat earwax. You'd agree that's not such a great bargain, right? However, everyone makes mistakes, and it's easier than it appears when it comes to wildlife. Sheep are a simple example. What could be so tricky about them? They're not even very smart, and they're fluffy animals that can't even stand up on their own. On the other hand, sheep are frequently used in weed management in areas where perennials such as coffee, mango, avocado, or cocoa grow. It's very convenient, and more importantly, it's free, since sheep, like oxpeckers, aren't paid. However, on the other side of things, people around the world have been dealing with landslides for over a decade, and nothing seems to be stopping them. Although it may appear strange, a few were actually caused by sheep. In actuality, the explanation is straightforward. The plant roots hold the soil together, preventing erosion and landslides. Sheep grazing on the hillsides restrict the development of trees and shrubs, which would strengthen the soil. Sheep are also blamed for flooding because they compress the soil, preventing water from being absorbed. To be fair, sheep are not the first or last animals capable of altering our planet's climate. Actually, it all began a very long time ago. Far too long ago. Consider the possibility that massive multi-ton animals have been roaming the Earth. It would be strange if this had no ramifications and dinosaurs only left traces scientists are trying to discover. We can now claim that they were the world's first landscape designers, giant lizard migrations that followed the same path year after year, leaving trampled paths in the rock. A stroll on the dunes totally altered them for plants and smaller animals as well as their future. Oh, here's something else interesting for you. Did you know that scientists believe that birds are dinosaurs' closest relatives? More specifically, birds performing amusing mating dances to attract a mate. Paleontologists discovered recently odd scratch marks on fossils that resembled traces of a marriage ritual, and not just any marriage ritual, but allosaurs dancing. We don't believe it could have occurred without having an impact on the surroundings. Either way, that's all for today, our dear viewers. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of this. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell for new updates. We'll see you next time.